If you are a chosen soul, this is the destiny that awaits you. I am not speaking in metaphors. I am not speaking in poetry. I am speaking about something that burns at the center of your being, something that has always been there, though you may have spent your entire life pretending not to see it. You have felt it in moments of silence when the world around you becomes strangely distant, when every noise fades and something ancient inside you whispers, "This is not all." You are not here by accident. Existence never makes accidents. Everything that breathes, every grain of sand, every heartbeat has a purpose written into it, not by any god sitting in the sky, but by existence itself. And if you are listening to me now, if my words reach some corner of your consciousness and disturb the comfort of your sleep, then you are among those few, the chosen souls. But being chosen is not a privilege. It is a challenge. It means that existence has decided to disturb you, to pull you out of the comfortable illusions that most people call life. You will not be allowed to rest in ignorance anymore. You will not be able to go back to the mechanical rhythm of the unconscious crowd. Once you hear the call, you can close your ears, but the echo will keep returning. That is the destiny that awaits a chosen soul. The inability to sleep again. The destiny of awakening. And awakening is not beautiful at first. It is not peace, it is not light. It begins with chaos, with confusion, with the death of everything you thought you were. The caterpillar must die before the butterfly can be born, but humanity wants to fly while still remaining a caterpillar. That is the tragedy. So when I say, if you are a chosen soul, this is the destiny that awaits you, I am not promising glory. I am promising death, the death of your false self. And only through that death will something real begin to breathe within you. Look around, the world is full of people who live and die without ever meeting themselves. They accumulate things, beliefs, opinions, relationships, but their center remains empty. They belong to the crowd, and the crowd gives them comfort. But comfort is not life. Comfort is anesthesia. The chosen soul cannot be anesthetized for long. Something inside starts screaming, "There must be more than this," and there is. But the path to that more is painful, because it demands you to question everything that gave you identity. Your religion, your nationality, your moral values, all of these are clothes that society has thrown on you. You have forgotten that underneath all that, there is a naked being that's wild, divine, free. You were born that way, but the crowd taught you shame. You were born free, but the crowd offered security in exchange for your wings. The chosen soul is the one who starts feeling suffocated by that security. You begin to see that the walls protecting you are also the walls imprisoning you. You begin to sense that what people call a normal life is just a long, slow suicide. You begin to sense that there must be another way to live, not to survive, but to be alive. That is the beginning of your destiny. It does not begin in temples or with scriptures. It begins in rebellion. You start to rebel not against others, but against the unconsciousness within yourself. You begin to see how your entire mind has been programmed by your parents, by priests, by politicians. You start to see that every thought you call mine is borrowed. And in that recognition, something extraordinary happens. A small space of freedom opens. That space is the seed of transformation. Once you see the program, you are no longer the program. Once you see the lie, you are no longer the lie. Awareness itself is liberation, but that awareness is not given to everyone. Most people do not want it. They say they want freedom, but what they really want is a more comfortable prison. They want the illusion of choice, the illusion of control, but not the naked truth of being alone, responsible and awake. The chosen soul has no choice but to see. Once the eyes are open, they cannot close again. You may try to look away, you may try to forget, but existence will not allow it. You have been called. The current of life is moving you towards something greater, even if you resist. And resistance, that is the first stage of awakening. Every chosen soul passes through it. You will fight, you will deny, you will argue with me. You will hate the truth because it burns. But eventually, when the pain of resistance becomes greater than the fear of surrender, something within you collapses. And that is where your real journey begins. People ask me, "Osho, how do I know if I am chosen?" My answer is simple. If you are asking the question, you already are. The very restlessness, the very dissatisfaction with the world as it is, that is the sign. The chosen ones are those who cannot fit into the old mold. They try again and again to be normal, to belong, but it never works. Their heart keeps rebelling. Their consciousness keeps knocking from within. It is not a gift. It is a fire. It will burn everything that is false in you. It will destroy your comfort, your possessions, your ambitions. But what remains after that destruction? That is your soul. And that is what destiny has prepared for you. Tell me, are you ready to meet that destiny? Because once you say yes, nothing will ever be the same again. The destiny of a chosen soul is not a straight road. It is not made of light from the beginning. It is made of fire. You are burned, purified, emptied, and only then are you filled with something new. That is why most people run away from their own awakening. They want enlightenment, but without the pain of seeing who they truly are. They want truth, but they also want comfort, and those two things never coexist. When you begin to awaken, the first thing that collapses is your identity. The you that you have been polishing, protecting, defending, that image you show to the world, it begins to dissolve. Suddenly you do not know who you are. That uncertainty is frightening because your whole life has been built upon that false certainty. I am this, I am that. And when those labels start falling apart, the mind panics. But remember, panic is a sign that you are moving in the right direction. Confusion means you are growing beyond your old limits. The mind hates uncertainty because it cannot control it, but the soul thrives on it. The unknown is its home. The chosen soul must walk into that unknown willingly. You must be ready to walk in the dark, not knowing where you are going, because only then can something truly new happen. If you move with a map, you are only repeating the past. The crowd follows maps, religions, ideologies, rules, because they are terrified of being lost. But the chosen soul knows that being lost is the beginning of being found. Look around and you will see people addicted to certainty. They cling to their beliefs, to their gods, to their governments, as if these could give them meaning. But all of that meaning is borrowed. They are like actors who have forgotten that they are playing a role. You ask them who they are, and they give you a name, a job, a nationality, as if those words define their being. The chosen soul cannot live with such lies. You begin to see through them, and when you see, the entire illusion collapses. It is painful, yes, but pain is the door. No birth ever happens without pain. The ego dies screaming, but let it scream. It has lived long enough. You owe it no sympathy. It has been your prison. Every time you defended it, you were defending your chains. Every time you tried to be someone, you moved further away from your own being. When the chosen soul begins to awaken, everything false begins to resist. Your mind will argue. Your friends will mock you. Society will call you lost, strange, rebellious. But remember, the world has always crucified its awakened ones. The crowd cannot tolerate someone who has stepped out of the pattern because your freedom exposes their slavery. Your silence becomes dangerous. Your awareness becomes a threat. And yet, this is your destiny, to be misunderstood, to be alone, to walk a path that no one around you can comprehend. That loneliness is sacred. Do not run from it. It is the silence in which the divine begins to whisper. When you are alone, you are finally available to existence. The noise of society no longer interferes. You begin to hear the song that has always been playing beneath everything. This is why I say, if you are a chosen soul, do not expect the crowd to celebrate you. They will fear you. You will reflect back to them everything they have avoided seeing. Your presence will make them uncomfortable because you will not fit their expectations. But that is the price of authenticity, and the reward is incomparable. You begin to live from your own center, not from borrowed values. The chosen soul learns to dance without music, to celebrate without reason, to love without object. That is real freedom, when your joy is not dependent on anything outside of you. Until that moment, you are a beggar. You may have money, relationships, power, but you are still begging for meaning. The chosen soul stops begging and begins to create. Creation is the fragrance of freedom. When you are truly awake, you begin to live creatively, not necessarily as an artist, but as a being whose every act is born out of awareness. Washing dishes becomes meditation, walking becomes prayer, breathing becomes poetry. You no longer live for something, you live from something, from your center. But before that fragrance appears, you must pass through the desert. Every chosen soul must. You will feel lost. You will feel abandoned by existence. Even God will seem silent. That silence is not punishment, it is preparation. The caterpillar inside the cocoon feels trapped, suffocated, dying. It does not know that in that darkness its wings are being born. So when darkness comes, when confusion overwhelms you, remember, this is part of your destiny. This is how existence prepares the chosen. It takes away all your supports, all your beliefs, all your certainties, so that you can finally stand naked, vulnerable, and true. Only in that nakedness can the divine embrace you. Do not search for shortcuts. Do not try to imitate others. Every chosen soul has a unique path, a unique fragrance. Comparison is poison. The moment you compare, you lose your authenticity. Walk your path with courage, even if it leads you through fire. Fire purifies. It never destroys what is real. The destiny that awaits you is not comfort, not success, not admiration. It is awakening, raw, silent, absolute. It will strip you of everything false until only truth remains. That truth is not something you will possess. It will possess you. You may think you are seeking enlightenment, but the truth is that enlightenment is seeking you. You are being pulled, drawn, magnetized toward it. You may resist, you may delay, but sooner or later, existence always wins. And when that moment comes, when the mind surrenders, when the heart opens, when you stop fighting, you will laugh. Because you will realize that you were never lost at all. You were always home. You were always the chosen one. You just needed to wake up and see it. Are you ready to lose everything that is not you? Because that is the price of finding who you really are. The chosen soul must go through fire, and yet strangely, the fire itself becomes your friend. In the beginning, you resist it, you curse it, you pray for it to stop. But slowly you begin to understand that what the fire burns is not you. It is everything that is not you. Every lie, every illusion, every fear begins to disappear in the heat of awareness. What remains is pure gold. That is the alchemy of consciousness. I tell you, awakening is not about adding more to yourself, not more knowledge, not more virtue, not more holiness. It is about subtraction. It is about losing, layer by layer, everything that you have gathered from the world until nothing remains but your own being. That nothingness is your truth, and that truth cannot be taught. It can only be realized when all teachings have been dropped. The chosen soul is one who dares to walk without crutches. You stop leaning on scriptures, you stop depending on philosophies, and you begin to trust your own seeing. For the first time, you stand alone, and that aloneness is sacred. It is not loneliness. Loneliness is the absence of the other. Aloneness is the presence of yourself. When you are truly alone, you are never lonely again. But this realization is dangerous. Dangerous to every system, every religion, every authority that profits from your dependency. That is why the chosen soul must be a rebel. Not a political rebel, not one who fights with the outside world, but one who dismantles the inner world of conditioning. Society can tolerate sinners more easily than awakened beings, because a sinner still belongs to the same game. The awakened one steps out of it completely. He no longer obeys the rules of sleepwalkers. He has tasted something higher. When you awaken, you begin to see how much of human life is lived in fear. Fear of being rejected, fear of being wrong, fear of dying. But fear exists only in the mind. The soul knows no fear because it cannot die. What can die has never been real. It is just a shadow. You are afraid because you have identified yourself with the shadow. Once you realize that you are the light, fear vanishes. This realization changes everything. Suddenly, the things that once obsessed you, success, reputation, control, seem meaningless. You begin to see how small your desires were, how petty your ambitions. You were chasing dust and calling it gold. The chosen soul stops chasing. You begin to rest in your being, and from that stillness you act, but your action is no longer born from ambition. It comes from abundance. People will not understand this. They will call you lazy, irresponsible, strange. They will project their confusion onto you because they cannot comprehend a life lived from within. Let them. Their opinions are part of their prison. You are no longer bound by it. You have seen a bigger sky, and once you see it, you cannot crawl back into the cage of their approval. The chosen soul's destiny is to live authentically, even if that authenticity costs everything. And it will. You cannot carry your masks into awakening. You cannot hold on to your false smiles, your social games, your pretending. Awakening demands total honesty. It asks you to strip yourself naked in front of existence. No lies, no disguises, no excuses. Only then can grace descend. But grace is not something that comes from above. It is not something you earn. It happens when you are empty. It happens when you are no longer trying to become anything. The chosen soul eventually understands that becoming is the illusion. Being is the truth. The more you try to become, the further you move from yourself. You do not need to become divine. You are already divine. You simply have to stop pretending otherwise. The greatest misunderstanding in human history is that enlightenment is a goal, something far away, something to be achieved through effort. No, enlightenment is your nature. You are born with it. The only thing that hides it is your identification with the false. When that identification breaks, the light shines naturally. You don't create it, you uncover it. This uncovering happens not through doing, but through awareness. Watch yourself. Watch your thoughts, your emotions, your reactions. Do not fight them. Do not condemn them, just watch. Awareness itself transforms. The chosen soul lives in that watchfulness. It is a quiet revolution, invisible from the outside, but seismic within. And slowly, you begin to notice a shift. The things that used to trigger you no longer control you. The noise of the mind becomes distant, like a storm seen from a mountain peak. You begin to live from silence. That silence is not emptiness. It is overflowing with intelligence, with love, with presence. In that silence, life begins to reveal its secrets. Existence starts to communicate with you in ways the intellect cannot grasp. A breeze, a tree, a stranger's smile, everything begins to carry meaning. You are no longer separate from life. You are life. The chosen soul merges with the whole, and in that merging, all questions disappear. Because every question was born out of separation. But do not mistake this merging for passivity. The awakened one acts, but his action is spontaneous. It is not planned, not motivated by ego, but flowing from awareness. That action is pure, effortless, and powerful. A single moment of awareness has more impact than a lifetime of unconscious doing. This is the secret destiny that awaits the chosen soul, to become a vessel through which existence expresses itself. You no longer live. Life lives through you. You no longer speak. Silence speaks through you. You no longer love. Love itself radiates from your being. That is freedom. That is enlightenment. Yet even in this state there is humility. The awakened one does not boast, does not claim to be special. Because the moment you claim to be special, the ego is back and the light is gone. The chosen soul realizes that everyone is chosen, only most people are asleep. Awakening does not make you superior. It makes you ordinary in the purest sense, natural, simple, real. And when you live in that simplicity, you discover the greatest paradox of all. The more nothing you become, the more divine you are. The less you try to be someone, the closer you are to the source. This is the path of the chosen soul, disappearing completely, so that existence can shine through without obstruction. Do not be afraid of disappearing. You have been pretending long enough. Now it is time to be real. When you begin to disappear, when the I starts dissolving, something miraculous happens. Everything you once sought begins to flow toward you. Peace, love, freedom, bliss, all of it comes, but not because you chased it. It comes because the one who was chasing is gone. The chosen soul does not conquer life. It allows life to happen. You become the open sky, and the clouds of joy and sorrow pass through you without resistance. Nothing sticks anymore. Nothing possesses you. This is the destiny that awaits the chosen soul, a life of effortless being. But do not misunderstand this word, effortless. It does not mean lazy or passive. It means in harmony. When a flower blooms, it is not forcing itself to open. It simply responds to the sun, to the rain, to the wind. The chosen soul lives the same way, in tune with existence, not in conflict with it. The crowd lives in constant struggle, always trying to control, to manipulate, to impose their will upon life. And that struggle is the very cause of their suffering. You were taught to fight life, to plan it, to fix it, to improve it. But life does not need your improvement. Life is perfect in its imperfection. The chosen soul learns the art of surrender, not the surrender of a slave, but the surrender of a lover. You begin to trust existence so deeply that even when everything seems to fall apart, you know that something higher is taking shape. You stop asking why and start saying yes. When you live this way, you are no longer a victim of circumstances. Whatever happens becomes part of your dance. Pain, joy, failure, success, all are seen as different notes in the same melody. You are no longer fighting for control because you have realized that you are not the doer. Life is happening through you, not by you, and that realization is liberation. The chosen soul stops measuring life in terms of gain and loss. You stop counting, you stop calculating. Every moment becomes complete in itself. When you eat, you just eat. When you walk, you just walk. When you love, you just love. There is no hidden agenda behind your actions. You have dropped the ambition to become someone, and because of that, you finally become everything. But to reach this point, you must let go completely. Half measures will not do. The mind will try to bargain. I will surrender a little, but not too much. I will drop some desires, but keep a few safe. That is not surrender. That is negotiation. And existence does not negotiate. You must die totally to be reborn. The chosen soul accepts this death with grace, knowing that what dies was never real. And when this total surrender happens, your life becomes luminous. You walk and your presence heals. You speak and your words carry the vibration of silence. You look into someone's eyes and they feel seen for the first time, not because you are doing something special, but because you are no longer in the way. The divine can now move through you freely. You become transparent. You become a window for existence. In that transparency, love blossoms. But this love is not the ordinary kind. It is not a relationship, not a possession, not a transaction. It is a state of being. The chosen soul loves because it cannot do otherwise. Love is the natural radiation of awareness. You love the tree, the bird, the stranger, the enemy, not because they deserve it, but because love has become your fragrance. And then something even deeper happens, compassion. Compassion is the highest flower of consciousness. It is not pity, it is understanding. You see the sleeping ones still caught in their dreams, still running after shadows, still suffering in circles, and you no longer judge them. You simply see. You know that you were once like them, and that one day they too will awaken. Compassion comes from that understanding, a gentle smile toward the whole of existence. But remember, compassion does not mean compromise. The chosen soul does not bend to fit the world's madness. Compassion is fierce when necessary. Sometimes love must roar like a lion, not whisper like a dove. True compassion has clarity. It can say no as easily as it says yes. The awakened one moves beyond all dualities. He is not bound by what society calls good or bad. His only guide is awareness. This is why the chosen soul can never belong to a crowd again. You have gone beyond belonging. You are now part of the whole. You may appear to live among people, but deep inside, you are a wanderer of the infinite. Your home is everywhere and nowhere. Your family is all of existence. You have no religion, no ideology, no identity. You are free. And this freedom is not something others can understand. To the blind, your eyes seem strange. To the deaf, your music sounds like madness. But that is the price of vision. Every chosen soul must walk alone for a time, misunderstood, rejected, ridiculed. But do not let that disturb you. Even their rejection is part of your blessing. Because in that solitude you meet yourself. Once you have met yourself, no rejection can wound you. No loneliness can frighten you. You are whole. You are fulfilled. You no longer need anyone to complete you because nothing is missing. That is the paradox. Only when you are complete within can you truly relate. Then love becomes sharing, not need. Friendship becomes celebration, not dependency. This is what it means to be a chosen soul, to live as a light in a world that prefers darkness. It is not easy. You will be tempted to dim your light to make others comfortable. But remember, existence did not choose you to be comfortable. It chose you to awaken. Let your light shine, even if it blinds those who refuse to open their eyes. One day, they too will see. One day, they too will remember. Every soul is chosen, but most have forgotten their calling. You are simply among the first to remember. That is all. And because you remember, you must live as a reminder. Your life must become the message. You do not need to preach. Your being will speak louder than words. Your silence will teach more than scriptures. To live like this is not a small thing. It is the greatest adventure possible. It is to dance with the whole, to die each moment and be reborn anew. It is to live without fear, without past, without future, only now, eternally now. That is the destiny that awaits the chosen soul. Not heaven after death, but heaven here and now in the very center of your being.